The tale of the dedication of the shrine at Yabashi, a county of Omi province, with Dengaku Entertainment, Part 7. Once upon a time, there lived a student by the name of Kyoen Zasu, who resided at the Western Pagoda on Mount Hiei. Known for his eloquent preaching, he would speak in ways that brought laughter to others. While still young and serving at the Western Pagoda, a county official from a place called Yabashi, in a county of the province of Omi, had long been deeply devoted to him. The county official would often visit Kyoen to discuss matters that concerned the mountain. Since Kyoen was still young and living in poverty, he was grateful for the official's visits. One day, this county official came to see him. When Kyoen asked, "What brings you here today?" the official replied, "I have long wished to build a Buddha hall, and I am planning to make an offering of sincere devotion. Our long-standing friendship makes me hope that you will grace us with your presence. Whatever instructions you give for the proper rites, I will follow diligently. As I have grown old, I wish to do this solely for the sake of my next life." Kyoen responded, "Visiting will be an easy task. Early in the morning on the day of the event, please send a boat to Mitsu to welcome me, as well as 2 or 3 horses saddled and ready at Yabashi. For the merit to be complete, Dengaku performances should accompany the dedication ceremony, for this mirrors the rituals performed in the halls of paradise. However, it would be difficult to call for musicians, and I imagine that won't be feasible." The county official replied, "There are musicians in the harbor where I live, so arranging for the performances is a simple matter. I will ensure that everything is properly done." Hearing this, Kyoen said, "If that is the case, then the merit will indeed be great. Hurry back and wait for the boat in the early morning at Mitsu." And the official left joyfully, saying, "I understand. I will prepare the boat swiftly." On the appointed day, while it was still dark, Kyoen hurried down from the western pagoda, arriving at Mitsu just as dawn began to break. The boat had already been prepared, so he boarded and began the short crossing to Yabashi. By around the hour of the snake, 10 a.m., they had reached the harbor. Upon arrival, Kyoen saw not just the promised 2 or 3 horses saddled, but over 10 horses lined up. Additionally, about 10 men in white garments were standing in rows, along with 50 or so lower-ranked attendants stationed at various spots around the village. Kyoen, puzzled, thought, "Are these people here to watch something? What is there to see?" He looked around but saw nothing of note. Once the boat was docked, he disembarked and mounted one of the horses that had been prepared for him. 2 monks who accompanied him also mounted horses. At that point, the men dressed in white who had been standing nearby mounted their own horses, and only then did Kyoen realize that they were the ones sent to escort him. As they rode, the men in white began to perform Dengaku rituals. Some had tied black Dengaku drums to their waists, pulling their arms out from their sleeves and holding drumsticks in both hands. Others played flutes, pounded on clappers, or struck various other musical instruments, all while performing a variety of dances and acrobatics. The scene was filled with wild merriment. Kyoen, observing this, thought, "What in the world is going on?" but said nothing. Some of the performers danced in front of his horse, while others danced behind or to the side. Seeing this, Kyoen thought, there must be a memorial service happening in this village today. It's unfortunate that I arrived during such a busy time and have to ride along with these performers. I hope I don't run into anyone I know." He covered his face with his sleeve as they approached the official's house. In front of the house, hundreds or even thousands of people were gathered, watching the spectacle. As Kyoen tried to hurry through the crowd, the Dengaku performers surrounded him, kaifs, beating their drums and blocking his way. They waved their banners and poles in front of his horse, preventing him from passing. His frustration grew. Finally, when they reached the gate of the official's house, the official and his son came out, took the reins of Kyoen's horse, and led him inside. Though Kyoen said, "Please let me dismount here," they ignored him, saying, "No, you mustn't. It would be discourteous." The Dengaku performers continued their antics as they followed him inside. The official told them, "Well done, men," and the drummers stood before Kyoen's horse, beating their drums and making an uproar. Kyoen, dismayed, thought, "If they had just let me dismount earlier, this wouldn't have been such a chaotic scene. With all this commotion, the horse can barely move. Eventually, they reached a part of the house with a corridor, and Gion finally dismounted. He was led to a seat, but as he sat down, still perplexed, he asked the official, "Lord County Official, may I ask what all this Dengaku is about?" The official replied, "When I visited you at the Western Pagoda, you mentioned that for the merit to be complete, music should accompany the dedication. That's why I made these arrangements. I also heard that it would be proper to welcome the preacher with a musical performance, so I did just that." At that moment, Kyoen finally understood. Ah, this man believes that this kind of dengaku is what I meant by music. While he found it amusing, there was no one around to share his thoughts with. After the dedication was finished, he returned to the mountain and recounted the story to the young monks, who laughed heartily at the tale. Being skilled at storytelling, Kyoen surely narrated it in a way that would make everyone laugh. Although the county official was from a remote countryside, the people who heard the story said, "Even in the countryside, people should know better than this. What a foolish man that official was." Thus, the story has been passed down. The Tale of Kidera no Motomasu and the Reprimand that led to his nickname, Chapter 8. Once upon a time, in the peach garden where the regent of the Ichijo family resided, which is now known as Seisonji Temple, the regent held a seasonal reading of Buddhist sutras. For this event, he summoned distinguished students from the temples of Mount Hiei, Midera, and Nara. All the invited monks arrived, and as they waited for the evening session, they sat in rows. Some were reciting sutras, while others passed the time by engaging in conversation. The sutra reading took place on the southern veranda of the Shinden, sleeping hall. As the monks sat in a row, enjoying the splendid view of the southern mountains and the picturesque pond, one of the monks from Yamada Temple, named Chuzan, remarked, "Ah, the trees of this estate are truly different from those found elsewhere." Nearby, a monk named Kidera no Motomasu overheard the comment. Instantly, he rebuked Chuzan, saying, "Nara monks are indeed ignorant. How crude your words are. It's called kodachi, grove, not kidachi. You speak as if you don't even understand this distinction." With that, he clicked his nails together in a show of annoyance. Chuzan, upon hearing this, replied with a sarcastic grin, "Ah, so it seems I spoke poorly. In that case, I should call you a small temple's small monk." At this, the assembled monks erupted in laughter, their amusement echoing throughout the temple grounds. Hearing the laughter, the regent asked, "What is so funny?" The monks humbly explained the situation to him. The regent, upon hearing their explanation, commented, "It seems Chuzan knew full well what he was saying. Motomasu merely fell into his trap. How unfortunate for Motomasu." At this, the monks laughed even harder. From that day on, the nickname the small temple's small monk stuck with Motomasu, and he deeply regretted ever getting involved in the exchange, lamenting that he had earned such a silly nickname through an insignificant reprimand. This monk Motomasu was from the temple of Skak. He was called Kidera no Motomasu because he lived at Kidera Temple. Chuzan was a distinguished student, and his quick wit made for a memorable tale, which has been passed down. Thus, the story has been passed down. The Tale of the Zenrin Temple Senior Monk, the Missing Tiles, and the Evasive Jokes. Chapter 9. Once upon a time, there was a high-ranking monk known as Shoujo of Zenrin Temple, who went by the name of Jinzen. He was the son of Kujo Dono, a man of the highest esteem and a devout practitioner of the way. One of his disciples was a monk named Kenjin of Tokudaiji. Kenjin, still young at the time, entered Toji Temple to perform his worship. Many roof tiles, Hako, had fallen into disrepair, and Shoujo thought to himself, "We must prepare 30 loads of tiles." To accomplish this, he called upon a monk known as Jonin, who held a senior position at Zenrin Temple. Shoujo summoned Jonin and said, "We must gather 30 loads of tiles for this cause. Call on the people and have them bring the tiles." Jonin took note and arranged for 15 men, each tasked with contributing 1 load of tiles. When Shoujo asked, "And who will bring the remaining 15 loads of tiles?" Jonin replied, "I shall handle the remaining tiles myself. Although others could surely help, as I have been ordered to oversee the task, I shall take responsibility for half the burden." Upon hearing this, Shoujo was pleased and said, "How wonderful! Then quickly prepare them and present them to me." Jonin replied, "I may be poor, but I shall handle such a task without hesitation. There's no need to worry." And with that, he left. The day came and the others all brought their 15 loads of tiles. However, Jonin's contribution was still nowhere to be seen. Shoujo grew suspicious, thinking, how strange that Jonin's tiles are delayed. Just as he pondered this, Jonin appeared, casually lifting his hakama and waving a fan with an air of confidence. Shoujo, seeing him approach, remarked, "Here comes the tile bearer," looking quite satisfied with himself. Jonin approached the shoujo and, standing tall, awaited a question. Shoujo asked, "What have you brought?" Jonin replied proudly, "I've come regarding the tiles. I was unable to borrow 5 of them," still appearing smug. Shoujo, puzzled, asked, "And what of the others?" Jonin, lowering his tone slightly, said, Five more have not been prepared either." Shoujo inquired further, "And the final 5?" At this, Jonin, trembling slightly, whispered, "I've completely forgotten about them." Shoujo, now frustrated, exclaimed, "Is this fool out of his mind? Had we called for more, we could have gathered 40 or 50 loads. Why has this fool failed to fulfill his duty?" Though Shoujo wanted to interrogate Jonin further and ordered his capture, Jonin fled into the shadows, disappearing without a trace. This Jonin was known for his humorous and light-hearted ways, and thus the phrase "Jonin's tiles" became a common saying. This tale has been passed down as an example of foolishness. The Tale of Kanshū, the Gion Betchō, Volume 11. Once upon a time, in the house of a long-serving official, there was a priest named Kanshū who secretly visited frequently. The master of the house had an inkling of this, but pretended not to notice. One day, while the master was away, Kanshū took the opportunity to enter and act as if he were at home. When the master returned, he found both the master and the lady of the house looking strangely flustered. The master thought to himself, "Surely something must be afoot." When he went to check deeper into the house, he found a large chest unusually locked. "Surely they must have put something inside and locked it," he concluded. He then called for a samurai and instructed him to summon 2 men, saying, "Take this chest to Gion and return after chanting the sutras." He handed over a document and had the samurai take the chest, and the samurai left with the 2 men. The master and the lady of the house felt strange but did not speak out. Meanwhile, the samurai took the chest to Gion, where the monks gathered and thought, "This is undoubtedly a treasure." They said, "Quickly inform the priest, otherwise we cannot open it," and sent someone to guide the priest, waiting for a considerable time. When they received no news, the samurai who had been sent to chant the sutras said, "We can't wait forever. If I were to look inside, I should not be suspicious. Just open it, please. We must be hasty." The monks, puzzled, wondered what was inside. From within the chest, there came a thin, desolate sound, saying, "Just have the official open it." Hearing this, both the monks and the samurai were filled with an overwhelming sense of wonder. However, thinking that this was not how things should be, they cautiously opened the chest. To their astonishment, they found the priest, who poked his head out. The monks, shocked at the sight, gasped in disbelief and quickly departed. The samurai also fled in alarm. Meanwhile, the priest hurriedly emerged from the chest and ran away to hide. In contemplating this, the master realized that pulling Kanshū out and kicking him would surely lead to disgrace. He thought to himself, it's only fitting for him to be humiliated. Kanshū, being an experienced person, remarked even from inside the chest. This incident became known in the world, and people praised it, saying, "What an amusing tale." Thus the story has been passed down.